Hey everyone, welcome back to another part in the Cypher guide series. This time I'm going to show you how to play Cypher in a successful way so that your utility does not only help yourself, but your teammates around you as well and racks you up more wins in your ranked games. But without further ado, let's get into it. Before going into Cypher himself, I'm going to explain what a sentinel's main role is. So a sentinel is one of the 4 agent roles and is based around defensive play. They are able to gather info to support their team, stop the enemies from flanking, and even anchor sites to prepare for rotates on defense. And Cypher fits this role perfectly, as you are going to quickly tell, since he can do this all really effectively with every piece of his utility. But with that out of the way, let me teach you how you can carry more games as Cypher by getting info for your team and catching enemies off guard with your tripwires. So Cypher has been changed a couple of times throughout Valorant's lifespan, with 2 of his most important ones being Jet not being able to dash past his wires anymore, and the length of Cypher's tripwires becoming longer as well.
This should do.
So we are going to start with Cypher's signature ability being his spy cam. If placed in a good spot, Cypher's cam can allow you to get early info on where the enemies are going, tell you what the enemies are doing, and even if they don't go your site, which I know every Cypher main feels every once in a while, you can still have info from your cam that tells you where they aren't going. Cypher's cam can also be used at any moment in the round and can tell you when the enemies may be rotating. And in addition to that, it can also shoot a dart that pings the enemies every 2 seconds until they remove it. Cypher's camera ping has a cooldown of 6 seconds until you can do it again, but just because you see someone doesn't mean you should ping them. It can reveal your camera's location, and sometimes it can be better not to, since the enemies don't know you are watching them with your camera. When recalling your camera, it takes 15 seconds to come back. But when it's broken, it takes 45 seconds to come back, so you want to place it in a spot where it won't get pre-fired and broken instantly. As for the requirements to actually place down the camera, you can be up to 20 meters away, and they can also be placed 5 meters above where you are standing. But if you jump, you can place it a bit higher. One last thing to note is that if you take damage on your camera, it will automatically take you off of it, and can maybe help you get out of a molly before you die. You will still remain on your cam from decay though. Next up, we have Cypher's tripwires, which in my opinion can be his most annoying ability to go against. Cypher's tripwires can stop entire enemy pushes and can lead to you and your teammates winning multiple rounds when placed correctly. Cypher's tripwires cost 200 credits, and it is currently the best ability in the game to watch flank. It has no range limit, so you can be lurking for your team on attack and still know when they are flanking. Be careful though, because if not placed properly, the enemies can jump and crouch under them and get past them. To make sure that they can't do this, you can crouch and place it at head level, and without any utility, the enemies would not be able to sneak past it. Some pieces of utility that can get past the wires include Jet Updraft, Omen TP, and Ray Satchel. If the enemies don't break it after 3 seconds, it concusses them and basically gives you a free kill. A Cypher tripwire can be up to 15 meters long, and when enemies get within 3 meters of it, it becomes translucent to them and they hear a buzzing sound. Things such as Sky Dog, Fade Prowler, and Sova Drone can all hit tripwires, and sometimes the enemies will purposely throw out things such as the Prowler to get rid of your trip so they don't have to worry about it later. Going more into the defense side of things, you want to have something called killed tripwires. This means that you place trips in unexpected locations so that you can catch the enemies off guard when they are pushing. Usually you want to place a cage either on top of the trip or on top of yourself for easy picks off of the tripwire contact. Another kind of tripwire you can do on defense is called an info tripwire. Examples of these include a tripwire in Garage on Haven and a tripwire for mid on Split. These trips allow you to focus on other areas of the map instead of having to leave a teammate watching it. Now on to Cypher's last ability, being his cage. Cypher's cage is a remotely activated ability that blocks the vision of the enemies and lasts for about 7.5-ish seconds. One key thing about this is that the enemies are not able to break his cage, unlike his other utility like his camera and his tripwire. They can be used in multiple ways. Some of these include one-ways, blocking off choke points, or even playing in a cage to play off of your tripwires. For example, if you are trying to push garage on split, you can use a cage so that you don't have to worry about crossfire and can safely clear corners. Another example of this would be throwing a cage for A long on Haven, since the enemies will have no idea if you are crossing past the cage or faking a sight. There is one key thing that makes it different than every other smoke though, and that's the fact that whenever an enemy moves inside of your cage, they give an audio cue and warn you of a push past it. If you can, it is normally really good to keep a cage for retake, since it can help you isolate your 1v1s and makes a retake much easier. Since enemies can break your cages, you want to know some one-ways for every map, and it will help you advance a lot more on Cypher. Even if you don't get picks off of it, it will allow your team more time to rotate, as pushing past it is almost an inevitable death for the enemies. When shooting through cages, it is almost always recommended to have a phantom, as it has no tracers and the enemies will have no idea where you are shooting from if you have two cages up. Cypher's last piece of utility is his ultimate and is called Neural Theft and is used by ulting an enemy body. It shows where the enemies are after 2 seconds and again after 4 more seconds. It is a great ultimate for retake and can sometimes bait the enemies into taking 1v1s so they peek before they get scanned. It also allows you to know how many enemies are holding a site and if it's actually worth it to push. To do good on Cypher, you are going to want to connect your utility together and not use it individually. For example, using info from your camera to know when they are pushing up into your one-way and placing a trip in front of it can help you pair up everything and give you the most chance at success. By doing this, you are also gathering info for your team and doing your job as a sentinel. But with that, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and please subscribe as I am getting close to 1K subs. But for right now, see ya.